Well, here we are for the third time. I was pretty determined that I wasn't going to do this very often, if any, but it looks like I am. I have a very unrelenting boss. But this time has been sort of a nice reflection in some ways, a forced reflection, not being able to see the choir or be around the people that I'm around most frequently. I found myself going back over a past time. Now this, one of the advantages and disadvantages of being here for a long time is that I've met a lot of people, many of whom are still in the choir. It's interesting how many people are in the choir that were here the first day I came, but there are some that aren't. If you were to look around, and I'm seated in the choir room, on the walls there are mementos of several trips that we've taken. There are things that we've been given on some of those trips. There are items that kind of bring back a lot of memories of what we've done. And that in turn made me start thinking about people that have been involved in the choir program. St. Barnabas Music is unbelievably blessed. For many, many years, we just had volunteers take care of every single thing in the church. Going back to when Jane was doing all of the children's choirs and especially the teen choir. Oh my goodness. And there were other people involved. There have been people in the choir program, in the music program, that you kind of don't see a lot. One of those is Chuck and Doris Magg. In their early days, Doris was actually involved in some of the children's work. She worked with Georgianne. She was a member of the choir, and until her health required her to drop out for a while, just as faithful as anybody. The other one is her husband, Chuck. Chuck passed away last June, but I guess I think about Chuck about as much as I do anybody. Chuck was a unusual person. I say that with a lot of love, but it's true. He was never late to choir, ever. Always early. Sat on the front row, always. Had a joke for me that probably came from Boys Life magazine, if anybody remembers those. They were some of the corniest, worst jokes you've ever heard, but he had one every single week. Chuck sang most of his life under some very, very good directors. He sang under Houston Bright, who is a very well-known composer and conductor, and was a member of church music a large part of his life. And he was never, ever not here if we were doing something. Well, wait, that's not quite right. There is one exception. Chuck loved opera. I don't know why that surprised me, but it just blew me away. He was a huge opera fanatic almost. He had season tickets to the Dallas Opera. And at the beginning of each season, I would always put out a calendar, and Chuck would always compare the calendar to choir rehearsals or services that we sing at. And he would tell me in advance whether he was going to be able to be at choir or not. And I will just admit, if there was an opera on a Wednesday night, that's where he was. He was not at choir. He just loved opera. And I think about those times, and he was faithful, unbelievably, except during opera season. Chuck was also one of the most creative people I've ever been around. He's just a terrific, creative mind. And had I not known him, I don't think I would have just looked at him and thought of it. But he was. All right, I'm going to show you something that hangs in the choir room. This seems silly, but he gave it to the choir in 1992. Now, that goes back a ways, all right? And I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if the glare will work or what. But Chuck decided that we needed some rules on being in the choir. So he came up with something called On the Making of a Chorister According to the Holy Scriptures. And right here are several rules, according to Chuck Magg, that all come from the Bible. Bring forth the best robe and put it on. From Luke chapter 15. Stand thou still a while. From 1 Samuel. Lift up the head. From Psalms. Open thy mouth wide. Now that's a good one. Also from Psalms. Let thine ears be attentive to the voice. Again from Psalms. Let thine eyelids look straight before thee. From Proverbs. Take fast hold of instruction. Also from Proverbs. Bow down thine ear and hear the words. They shall withal be fitted in thy lips. From Proverbs. Forget not the congregation. That's one of my favorites. From Psalms. And finally, from Isaiah. Make sweet melody, sing many songs that thou may yet be remembered. From Chuck Magg. I miss him still.